Now that we have established that the term Jesus Christ actually comes from the physical science, and in a broad sense means part and the whole, referring to the study of the system, the study of the all, the study of the whole being, the whole supreme being, the system, the all that surrounds us, the complete the complete system, the complete being that we, well, not only surrounds us, but that we consist of, we and everything we know consist of, that sometimes is referred as God or creator or creation. And these are all equals. I should say that all these names refer to just one phenomenon, and this is the phenomenon of all or everything or God. Again, these are all pretty much synonyms. They all mean the same thing. And in this sense, the term Jesus Christ only means a division between a very conditional division between the part and the whole. Now I will repeat this. It's a conditional division between the part and the whole, because of course a whole should be indivisible, and the only reason that there is this division between the part and the whole is for us to better understand this phenomenon. Naturally, if we don't try to analyze, if we don't try to take apart this whole, this supreme being, which we cannot do it really. We can only do it hypothetically, so to say. We can do it logically, hypothetically, in our mind, in our words. We can talk about it, discuss, we can describe aspects. There are certain aspects, certain parts, again, of this whole being, and that's what it's all about. That's what, again, the term Jesus Christ is all about, is the attempt to analyze God, analyze the whole, by admitting or by suggesting again that the whole consists of parts, so to say, consists of elements, and that's the word that the word Jesus will be one. That will be one of the many definitions, names for, or explanations, interpretations for the word Jesus. Jesus is Son of the whole, the Son of God, Son of Father, Son as in a part of God, part of whole, part of Father, element, one of the elements, and the whole will consist of many elements, right? Each particle in this creation, right? Each particle in this universe, each particle of our world reality is an element, right? It's each element, each particle is a son of God in a certain sense, meaning that each particle is a part, each element of this world is a part of the world, is a part of this creation. So saying Son of God just means a part, an element of the world, of the creation. And that is the teaching. This is the teaching that the masters like Emmanuel and others, and Emmanuel's apostles, right? Apostles, um, students, his pupils, and other people. Uh, that is the teaching that they were trying to bring to humanity. It's just simple physics, simple science, that there is the whole, the all, and then you start with all. You establish that there is all, the whole being, the supreme being, the fullness, the completeness, and then you go from there, so to say, and then you start analyzing it by taking it apart, right, and analyzing parts of this whole being, like different aspects of this being, different sons, right? In other words, different, you can say sons, right? Different signs, right? Different elements of the whole being, and the more science science elements we can distinguish, we can indicate, the further, the more detailed, the better understanding, the better, more detailed, more profound understanding and knowledge about this God, about this reality we collect in the end. And of course, this is just a very, very, very general knowledge, very general idea about the very maybe initial idea that was brought by the master, who later became known by I guess by the name of the profession of his occupation, Jesus Christ. Probably it will probably be interesting to mention the first several the first paragraph of the Bible, of the New Testament, which says in different editions, I guess it says something like, in the beginning there was nothing, and then God created something out of nothing, right? Now, right there, this is a mistake, probably misinterpretation, misunderstanding, because right there, that right there contradicts the teaching of Jesus Christ, the teaching of part and the whole. Because in the beginning there is a whole being. There, in the beginning there is all. Then things start happening to that all, which I will of course get to that in the future. But that is very, very important to understand. This is what he actually was talking about. The mistake that people make is that they say there was nothing. First there was nothing, and then something started to appear. Even today, the modern science makes this mistake. They say that in the beginning there's nothing, and then there's a big bang, and then something starts happening, and that's exactly what the Bible says, and that is a mistake. In the beginning there was all. There wasn't nothing. In the beginning there was all. And then things start happening to the all. I mean, nothing really happens to the all. What happens is that we start taking the all apart. We start analyzing. We start studying the all, the God, and come to draw certain conclusions, gaining certain knowledge. So it is probably time for us, for the modern science, to actually listen to what the subject of Jesus Christ says, and that is that in the beginning there was Christ, which is all, which is the creator, creation, and such and such and such, all the same names, God, being, whole, being, all. That's what was in the beginning, and it's not that it was, it is. In the beginning, or like how would you say today? You wouldn't say in the beginning, you would say in the very base, right? At the very base, at the very core of creation, there is creation. There is all. There is system. There is a system. Overall, at the very base, at the basic level of knowledge, there is all. There is the system. The system has always been, the system is, the system will be. It's a system, right? That's how we start. That's how we start the Bible. That's how we start the teaching of Jesus Christ. There was the Christ, there was the system, the creature, the creator, the creation, everything and everybody. And we are all part of all. We all are parts of all, and more than that, the parts is just a very, very simplified term. We're not just parts. We are fractals. It's a fractal system in which each of us is a whole thing too. Each of us is an expression. It's an expression of the whole thing. See, that's where it might get a little bit confusing, where we so used to a mechanism which is just a mechanism consisting, let's say it's a system consisting of smaller parts, of smaller systems, and those in turn consist of smaller systems, and we can take them apart, and that's what we understand by the system. It's a mechanical approach, where with God, each part is an expression of the whole. Each element is actually a whole thing, that is still that all, that supreme being, but just an expression, just a certain angle. Oh, here's a good word, angle, because the word angle is actually a very close relative to the word Jesus, as a matter of fact. It's a certain expression, certain angle, certain point of view, certain focus. Here's another word, focus is pretty close relative to the word Jesus, as a matter of fact. So what about the misconception or a misinterpretation of the fact that the word Christ comes from the fact that he died on the cross? It is believed that the reason he was called Christ is because he was crucified, that he died on the cross. Well, that is definitely not the case. Uh, this is probably can be called a coincidence. Uh, he was not called Christ because he died on the cross, and although uh, uh, his word Christ has an element of the word cross, but not because he died on the cross, but because the cross is a basic, again, just very basic representation of the structure of the reality. That's how our reality is built. The reality, especially our material world, is structured. It's a structure, a building in a sense. And what is the main principle of building? Making levels, making classes, making levels, making more and more levels. Now, how do you make levels? Just about the same way as you make shelves, or you make floors. You make you build squares, so to say. So in a way, cross is just a representation of a square, meaning that that's how it's built. In order to build levels, you have to put a horizontal line, and then vertical line, horizontal line, vertical line, horizontal line, vertical line. That's how you build. This is the main, if not the only, then the main principle of structuring, of building, of creating. You creating by alternating horizontal and vertical lines, elements. Again, it's just a model of this, how to build, how to structure, how to construct the reality, especially the material reality. So again, what we have here is just the simple physics, the science of physics. People need science. People always needed science. They always needed to build things. And cross, in this case, cross is again a symbol of how this process takes place, how this actually happens. This study of Jesus Christ is a very obviously starts with very basic knowledge that is probably was probably given to children and to uneducated people, because again, today we all go through school, we go through many years of school, we have TV, so certain things are very obvious to us, but in the past, people didn't have that opportunity to study, and that knowledge was given to children, was given to anybody who wanted to know about the reality, about it was again just it was science, it was school, religion. Now we can quickly go over the term religion too, but religion originally, before it became this weird hybrid of modern days, well, originally religion was the science. It was just called religion. Today we call it science or study, but one day, a long time ago, it was called religion. The science was called religion. It was just another word for science. Now, let's quickly look at the word religion. What the word, we don't understand this word. We associate religion with, well, everything that we know, right, about religion. We don't understand the word religion. But the word religion comes from, it's just a slightly changed word, relation. Religion is really, if you pronounce it correctly, so to say, it's relation. So the science, many years, many centuries ago, the science was called, they didn't have the word science, instead they had the word relation. Relation. And now we can again remember the Einstein's theory of relativity, right? Relativity. I would like to point this word out. The study of relativity. Here we go, relation and relativity. We know everything is relative. Everything is relative. And that is what the original science that was called relation, and then later became religion, but it was relation. And the relation, the study of relation, taught told and taught people that everything was relative. There is a countless just classification, relativity existing in the world. Everything is relative to the next thing. If today's science only talks about what it can test, what it can actually, it's limited. Today's science is very limited because it only has to do with things it can actually touch, right, or test, in measure in some form or shape, in some way. But the ancient science, which was called relation, went much further and included everything that we know today, of course, no doubt about that. Having not just knowing all of it, what we know today, but having a much better understanding, knowing in many more details than what we know today. But also that study, that ancient science that was called relation, went much further than just things that could be tested. It covered actually the whole, the Jesus Christ, right? It covered the system, it covered the Christ, it covered the creation. It tried to explain the whole. It was the study of God. It was this, yes, religion is the study of God, which means it's the study of all, the study of everything, and all the aspects, all the particles. It's a huge, profound body of knowledge. There's probably no limit to the amount of knowledge that you can gain. You can have very basic knowledge, you can have advanced knowledge, you can have profound knowledge. The more you study, the more time you dedicate to the subject of relation, right? Religion, the more you know. Now again, it's probably hard. It's very hard to believe that the modern religion really originally was the study of all, the study of call it reality, the structure of reality. You can't even say cosmos or universe, because cosmos as well as universe are just the parts of reality. So let's say the reality and parallel realities and everything, all, that's when I say all, parallel universes, parallel realities, past, present, future, all. That's relation. That's the original science. That's how much material the original science covered. The science of Jesus Christ. That's how much it covered back then. And then what we have today is just religion is just pretty much a biography, right? A biography of the guy who was teaching, who was promoting and teaching this profound knowledge, the study of all. You can kind of again compare, like a funny comparison is that here's the for example, there's a textbook, right? There's a thick scientific scientific book, a thick textbook, and it has a preface, it has like a brief, maybe a brief biographical article about the author, right? You know how sometimes in modern books, in the beginning of the book, there are a few pages dedicated to the author. It's called biographic note, or just an article about the author, and they tell you basic information: when he was born, where he went to study, what and how he got to write the book, and so on. So you can kind of imagine that what happened to the Bible is they took that very initial, the front part about the author, and only left that part, and the part, the actual book, the monography, so to say, the manuscript, the book itself with the material was just gone, just eliminated, and all they left is just the life of the author who actually wrote the book. They left the life of the author and turned that into the whole book, which is kind of very funny and ironic. And it's still, even today, that happens, that we focus more on the person, on the character of himself, than on what the character is involved. I mean, there's so many examples of that, where somebody again just does something very important for the humanity, so to say, and nobody cares about what he did. Nobody cares about what he wrote, what he did for humanity, but they all focused on his persona. They all focused on his life, not what he did, but how he did it, how he achieved it, what made him so special, and they digging in his life, trying to find all the little details that don't really mean much, and they're fascinated by the life of this person, and he's a hero, but nobody really cares about what he wrote. And that's called formalism, formal approach to the whole subject. And in a way, this is what it seemed like happened to the book of Jesus Christ, the book of knowledge.